We often talk about the importance of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but we rarely take the time to understand what it is or why it is important for us. Today I want to focus on what is the resurrection of Jesus. If you were to look up the word resurrection in the dictionary, you'd see that it is the state of one risen from the dead. It carries this idea that someone was dead and now they're alive. And you may be asking, when did this idea of resurrection come around? Was it a new idea during the time of Jesus? No, this idea actually goes back into the Old Testament. If you read Daniel chapter 12, verse 2, Daniel references this future bodily resurrection. He says, many of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will awake, these to everlasting life. The people of God didn't understand what this resurrection would look like. But when Jesus comes through his life, through his death, and through his resurrection, they begin to see and understand what this resurrection would look like. And as Jesus dies on the cross, his disciples didn't understand. His disciples thought that his ministry was over. They thought that his ministry had come to an end. Even though Jesus had told them many times, I must die and I must rise from the dead, they still did not understand. And the biggest piece that they didn't understand is that by Jesus dying on the cross, he was actually dying for the sins of humanity. And by Jesus raising from the dead, he's actually overcoming sin and death and shame and giving them their final defeat when he stepped out of the grave. And this resurrection is actually pictured in Mark chapter 16, verses 5 and 6. When two followers of Jesus are going to the tomb to mourn, it says, entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting at the right, wearing a white robe, and they were amazed. And he said to them, do not be amazed. You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene, who has been crucified. He is risen. He is not here. Behold, here is the place where they laid him. Jesus defeated the grave, never to die again. And you may be asking, well, what does that have to do with me? What hope does that give me of eternity with God or of a future bodily resurrection for me? Well, thankfully, 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 through 18 helps us to understand that better. It speaks of Jesus' triumphal return for those that are followers of Jesus. It says, for the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will raise first. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. What comforting words those are. That anyone that's a follower of Christ, anyone that has repented and believed in the gospel of Jesus Christ, we've been promised to overcome sin and death, just as Jesus overcame sin and death. There's great hope in the resurrection of Jesus. Be comforted in that today. God bless.